Hi, this is Liv Morgan, and you are listening to No One Knows, a deep dive podcast into the mysterious death of Joann Matouk Romain. Welcome back, everyone. If you follow us on Instagram, you may have seen the post that I made yesterday about why we have been so absent here. Joann's story has been told, and everything you're hearing here is unfolding in real time. I've said it before and I'll say it again. While this might be your daily drive listen, these are real stories about real people, and your support, especially when things are quiet, is just as important as when we first started this. Today's Friday, September 5th, but I need to take you back to almost a year ago. And that's when I came across a name in my research. Isfinder Sahni. But for here, we're going to just call him Sahni. Now, if you've been listening for a while, you'll remember that we've mentioned him before. He was the COO of Woods Wholesale Wine, and he was charged with allegedly stealing upwards of $350,000 from the store. But even before those charges came to light, I had discovered his name in a lawsuit, and it was a lawsuit against William Matouk, Joann's brother, who owns Woods Wholesale Wine. So right away, I knew that there was more to the story. Over the past several months, I've been attending hearings. I've been sitting in the same courtroom as people who, more than likely, have something to do with Joann being missing and ultimately dead. And what I've uncovered raises serious questions. We're going to start with the lawsuit. Before Sahni was ever charged with embezzlement, that lawsuit that he had put towards Bill Matouk and Woods Wholesale Wine claimed wrongful termination. So think about it for a second. If Sahni was fired for allegedly stealing, why would he risk filing a lawsuit against this former boss that he stole from? Something doesn't add up for me. And you're probably wondering, why does this matter for Joann's case? It matters because it's the same people who are wrapped up in these lawsuits that tend to be the same people protecting their own interests when it comes to court. These are also the very same people who never hung a missing poster sign for her, never looked for her, never took a polygraph, and they never helped push for justice. Woods Wholesale Wine wasn't just a business. It was one of the last places that Joann had actually visited just days and weeks before disappearing. She left the store shaken, telling her daughter that she needed to go pray. Whatever she talked to or saw or heard from her brother and inside that store, it's a detail that continues to haunt us till this day. We're going to move forward to the courtroom. On May 7th, 2025, Judge Ted Metry presided over the people of the state of Michigan versus Sahni. Representing the people was prosecutor Daniel Grano, and for the defense attorney, Steve Haney. Now here's something interesting. Grano isn't just any prosecutor. He's a longtime Grosse Pointe native, even serving on the Grosse Pointe Park Council until 2020. I didn't realize that this connection until I had left the courthouse that day. And I had noticed that Grano and William Matouk outside laughing together, walking outside of Grosse Pointe Woods, Police Department, courthouse. Now, that could simply be a professional courtesy, they're working together. But it struck me enough to take notes, because in cases like this, even the smallest connections matter in a small town. So it's worth noting, William Matouk hasn't had to put up a dime for this case, because it's the state prosecuting the alleged embezzlement case, and his hands stay clean financially. That's where the phrase comes in. Bleed them until you plead them. It's a tactic. Drag someone through the legal system long enough, and if they don't have the money for the fight, they'll plead out, even if they're not guilty. So how does this work? How did this all come to this? We need to go back to the family feud. Now let's connect some dots. The biggest fallout between Joann and her siblings was over their parents' estate. And at that time, both William Matouk and Rosemary Hage, her siblings, were actually fired by their parents' own attorneys for unethical practices involving money distribution. There were even allegations of forged signatures. Joann had the chance to pursue charges, but she didn't. We've talked about this previously. But we're going to fast forward to now. A little birdie handed me transcripts from a recent hearing, and one exchange stood out. Defense attorney Steve Haney brought up two key documents. We're going to call them Document 1 and Document 2. Document 1 is an offer of employment for Sahni signed only with his nickname, Ish. Document 2 is an offer of employment plus a 7% ownership in the business signed with Sahni's full legal name and countersigned by William Matouk. Matouk insists that Document 1 is real, but here's the problem. Why would someone sign an employment contract with a nickname? All other official documents, passports, licenses, legal contracts, are signed with Sahni's legal name. It makes you wonder, if signatures were possibly forged before, why wouldn't it happen again? Why would a 7% ownership in a business that is run by family be given to somebody outside? This makes you question, is it to keep money away from Rosemary? Is it to keep money in Bill's pockets? Where is this money going, and why would this ownership be offered? This is something that we probably won't ever know unless it comes out in trial. So let's talk about what this little birdie left in my lap. Let's talk about the fraud and the red flags. This isn't the most shocking part of a transcript. Talking about possible signatures being forged, a 7% ownership up in the air, some text messages claiming ownership, but it is the testimony of an employee of Woods Wholesale Wine, Christina Jawad, William Matouk's daughter, allegedly using the store to commit unemployment fraud. And here's an insert from the transcript. The transcript reads as followed. This is between Steve Haney, attorney, and Christina Jawad. Mr. Haney states, "Well, I'll ask a different question and understand that you're under oath. Isn't it true that you received a letter from a judge indicating that you were collecting unemployment benefits between August 20th and the 21st while you were still working? Isn't that right?" Christina answers, "Yes." Question asked by Haney says, "And you did, didn't you?" Mr. Haney reminds her, "You're under oath." Christina answers, "Yes." Question asked by Mr. Haney, "And it was fraud, wasn't it?" Mr. Haney again reminds her, "You're under oath." Christina, no verbal response. Mr. Haney, "It's a yes or a no." Christina answers, "Yes." The court asks, "Do you have a pending case?" Christina responds, "No." The court responds, "Okay." Mr. Haney states, "Judge, let the record reflect that she said yes, so it's fraud." The court responds, "She answered." Question asked by Haney, "So if you're committing fraud, that means you're lying, doesn't it?" The witness, Christina, states, how is it relevant?" Mr. Haney, "I am not answering your questions. I'm asking you a question. My question is, if you are a fraudster, that means you lie, right?" Christina states, "You're asking me?" Mr. Haney, "I'm asking you." Christina states, "You're asking me what?" Haney asks, "If you commit fraud, then you're a liar, aren't you?" No verbal response by Christina. "Right?" Mr. Haney, "You can say no. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. You have to answer the question. You are under oath." Witness, Christina states, "Restate the question." Haney says, "Yes. If you commit fraud, that means that you lied, right?" Christina answers, "Yes." Haney asks, "Yes, you stole money from the government, didn't you?" Answer by Christina, So I, question by Haney, "Yes or no?" Answer, "No, I could get into this, but I actually technically wasn't employed after I had my first child. I actually took a step back." Question asked by Haney, "So if I had a text message that you were texting people at the store to deflect the unemployment office from calling and saying, 'I'm not here if they call,' would that not exist?" Christina answers, "It may have." Question asked by Haney, "Yeah, because you wanted nothing to do with the unemployment department who was investigating who was receiving fraudulent unemployment benefits. Isn't that right?" She answers, "Right." Haney asks, "Right, because you were one of them, weren't you?" Answer, "Positive?" Question, "Yes." She answers, "Yes." So Haney asks, "Yes, so now you're here today. testifying a fraudster, a liar, against my client. Isn't that right? Court responds, stop with the name calling, just Mr. Haney states, well, I'm not name calling. Court says, the point's been made. Yeah, you. Mr. Haney said, she said she's a fraudster, Your Honor. The court responds with, well, you said the fraudster. Haney says, I'm not now. Court states, hold on. Haney states, never called a woman that name, Your Honor. The court counsel, the witness states, Christina, your client's a con artist. The court states, the fraudster, the liar, you've established your point. Haney states, okay, Your Honor, thank you. The next question by Haney says, did it make you nervous that Mr. Sahni was unearthing some of the crimes that were occurring at the Woods? The witness, Christina, what crimes? Haney states, well, unemployment fraud for one. Christina answers, no, I'm not nervous. Haney asks, isn't it true you wanted to beat him to the punch? So you went to the Grosse Pointe Police Department and filed this police report, right? Christina answers, because he was stealing money. He was embezzling money. Haney asks, isn't it true that you and your family have a lot of contacts at the Grosse Pointe Police Department, don't you? Christina answers, I don't know. Haney asks, I'm asking you, do you have friends there? Christina answers, I don't have friends there. He asks, no, do you know if your dad does? Christina answers, he might. Mr. Haney, I'm not asking you to guess. Do you know if he has friends? Christina answers, I don't know. Question asked by Haney, no, have you ever seen officers in the store? Christina answers, I'm not there. Haney closes out with nothing further, no redirect, and then gray note is to cross-examine. So you heard it, fraud, forged signatures, shady business ownership agreements. And this isn't just a business problem, it's a family problem. And at some point, even 15 years later and 15 years previously, Joann was somehow caught up in the mix of all of this. So we're going to fast forward to the latest hearing, which took place September 3rd, 2025. I was in the courtroom again. On the right, William Matouk, his driver, Billy Jr., and Joseph. On the left was Sahni, followed by his attorney, Steve Haney. I sat down in a pew, and it wouldn't be long before Billy Jr. spotted me, pointed me out to William Matouk. It would be snarls and comments under the breath as I was sitting there, listening to the final conference that was going to be happening before trial. Trial is scheduled for September 29th, and Judge Knapp presided as Haney and Grano debated what evidence should be allowed at trial. Haney argued that the unemployment fraud testimony should be heard because it reveals the store's toxic inner workings. And honestly, I kind of agree. The store is at the heart of all of this. William Matouk sat there laughing and smirking, even as the courtroom discussed his text that under oath he denied sending, texts that refer to Sahni as an owner of Woods Wholesale Wine. But Matouk now claims that Sahni sent those texts himself using Matouk's phone. Verizon, subpoenas, they're all still pending. So the question is, who's telling the truth and how much of it connects back to Joann? As we head towards the trial later this month, we'll keep uncovering what's hidden behind the walls of Woods Wholesale Wine and what it might reveal about Joann's disappearance. Because for too long, the story's been controlled by silence, and we're here to break it. But right now, we are working currently on a foundation to help give back to those in need. But in the meantime, we've linked a few charities on JoannMatoukRomain.com, one of them being Joann's favorite, St. Jude's. Feel free to donate in honor of Joann, and we'll be back soon.